What is going on, everybody? It's the France, and we're here for a Monday Night Raw review for 10/21/2019. This was your rerun episode of WWE Monday Night Raw, as other than the Seth Rollins versus Humberto Carrillo match and the Street Profits versus the OC, which was advertised as a six-man tag match, but got pulled back and it was only a tag team match. Everything else on this show we've seen a time or two before, and it just felt like WWE was like, well, it's the first night of the show. Even had Big Joseph come out and say, it's a new era on Monday Night Raw, and the new era begins as this is the first post-draft episode of Monday Night Raw. Nothing felt different. It literally felt like we were watching reruns of Monday Night Raw. They even opened the show the exact same way they did last week. And what I mean by opening the show, I mean the very first thing you saw when it hit 8 o'clock was not that then now it's forever. We saw the Fiend and Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell again. So they extended it as they showed the Firefly Funhouse being burnt down last week, and then we get the opening video. So it's like I'm sitting here and I'm watching this and I'm like, why are we getting this same video over again? Then we would have Ric Flair come out. Ric Flair just honestly felt like he was drunk. He was belligerent. The guy couldn't... I never want Ric Flair to have the mic again. My God. Him being on the mic tonight was absolutely atrocious. Everything he said just came off as phony. It was just like... It was like the guy had one too many before he walked out there, and he just started spurting off at the mouth. It was not a good look for Ric Flair. But he comes out, he announces that, I'm going to get quick to this one. He announces the Crown Jewel pay-per-view will have one last guy that we don't know who it is, and that guy turns out to be Drew McIntyre. Okay, that's fine. We haven't seen Drew McIntyre since the first round loss in the King of the Ring to Ricochet. If you didn't see that match, get prepared, because that was the very first match of the night. It was Ricochet versus Drew McIntyre. So we saw this before, and last time it meant something. The one thing that's great about AEW is that wins and losses matter. If you win your match, you are one step closer to being number one contender. You have Riho, who was her record was 5-1. She's 6-1 after beating Britt Baker. We know that when she loses a match, it's going to mean something. Ricochet and Drew McIntyre this time around, it didn't really mean anything. These guys just went out there, they gave you a match, it was a damn good match, but it didn't mean anything. Is this going to mean that... The only thing it meant, and I hate this, is the fact that it is just advertising sweet Saudi money for whatever you want to get, whatever tagline you want to get it. Just, I don't care about this Saudi Arabian show, because I'm not watching the Saudi Arabian show. The fact that you have to advertise this show this way is just a pain in the ass. So yes, we get Drew McIntyre versus Ricochet, and yes, a good match. Nothing I can complain about. Guys go out there, they put their bodies on the line, they give you a good match. Just, if you saw what they did in the King of the Ring first round, this match, I don't know if it superseded it, but it was a good match. I will not say that, I will not lie about that. The match comes down to the end where Ricochet gets back on the top, but he's forced to roll through. Ricochet goes up for the recoil, but Drew blocks it and launches Ricochet out of the ring and he lands bad on the floor. Scary looking bump. With hair flare wooing, there was a portion of this match when I think it was Caleb Braxton or whoever, one of the interviewers, goes over to Ric Flair. Ric Flair gets on the mic and he's just screaming nonsense over and over about, oh, you should be watching this, Hogan. Make sure you're watching this, Hogan. We're going to send Ricochet into the moon. And I'm like, why are we giving Ric Flair a mic? He's obviously off his rockers or something tonight. It was not a good look for Ric Flair. Ricochet gets his feet and Dave's in the corner, and Drew hits him with the Claymore for the 1, 2, 3. McIntyre is your winner. Then after the match, he picks up Ricochet and hits him with a Future Shock DDT as Flair is just watching. Drew drags Ricochet out of the ring and by his legs and he runs up, looks like he's going to do the reverse Alabama slam onto the steel ramp. He's like, nah. Turns around and just whams him onto the steel steps. It was like, was the beatdown really necessary? Really? Was it necessary? I mean, you gave us a damn good match between these two. Like, all you had to, if you would have hit him with the Future Shock DDT, that would have been fine. That's it. But you didn't have to have him go out there and damn near try to kill Ricochet by hitting him off of the steel steps. I don't care how safe Drew McIntyre could be in that spot. That spot could hurt somebody easily. They advertise King's Court with Rusev. But they discuss Lana and Bobby Lashley. Also the OC versus the Street Profits and a mystery partner. Get that right. They advertised at the beginning of this show the Street Profits and a mystery partner versus the OC. By the time we get to the match, it somehow turned in from that to a standard tag team match, and we're wondering, who is this third guy? Who's the third man? Who's this guy that the Street Profits found? And we hear about Seth Rollins on why he would set fire to the Firefly Funhouse. We knew this was coming. We come back from break. XFL had their draft last Tuesday and Wednesday. They let you know who the quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, everybody else was. And lo and behold, we are in Cleveland, Ohio. And who just so happens to be sitting ringside in Cleveland, Ohio, but quarterback for the DC Defenders, Cardale Jones. WWE. Wouldn't it have been a smart idea the next time you're in Columbus to have Cardale Jones there? Cardale Jones has no ties unless he's like from a local high school, from the local area, to Cleveland, when most people know him for winning the national championship with the Ohio State Buckeyes in Columbus. I know you guys will be in Columbus and probably sometime this year. So I think having him in Columbus would have been a better idea. It wouldn't surprise me wherever they're at in SmackDown this week, you see another XFL player in the crowd. This is Vince McMahon getting the XFL hyped up the best way he can by doing it on Monday Night Raw, probably SmackDown, and hell, even maybe NXT. I mean, they do have Tampa Bay in Florida for the XFL, so it would not surprise me if we see, hey look, there's the XFL Tampa Bay wide receiver right there in the crowd. So expect to see more and more XFL stars or players on WWE programming in the crowd conveniently. Now, I don't know what Cardale Jones' fandom of WWE is. If he is an actual fan, maybe he was just there because he lives in the area. And they're like, hey, Cardale Jones is here. Let's spotlight him. But I highly doubt that when they just named the XFL team players last week. He also shows a replay of what happened between the OC and the Street Profits last week. She's backstage with the OC. She asks about the strategy for the night, and it's indicated that now this is a tag team match instead of a 6-man with a mystery partner for the Street Profits. They knock the Profits as rookies who need to earn their keep. Yeah, rookies who've been in NXT. Angela Dawkins has been in WWE's developmental system for 7 years. They ain't no rookies. I don't care what people say, oh, it's a developmental brand. They're rookies when they come to Monday Night Raw. Bullshit. They need to knock this stigma off that you're coming from NXT to the main roster, you are a rookie. Give me a fucking break. When Ricochet and Aleister Black came to the main roster, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano as well for a brief spell until Tommaso Ciampa went down with neck injury, there was no reason to treat those guys as if they were rookies. The only time you should be treated as a rookie is if you are somebody who is coming into NXT. That's where the rookies are, is in NXT. When you're somebody who's not been in WWE yet. These guys have been in NXT as a tag team for 2 years now? They ain't no rookies. They shouldn't be given the platform they've been given, especially an unofficial Raw host. When we already have the OC. AJ says the Profits always talk about wanting to smoke, but that's illegal in Cleveland. UFC goes on and says, Cleveland sucks. AJ says Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson have been doing this for a long time and will give Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins the beating of their lives. So, I still want to know why, at the beginning of the show, after the first match, we have Vic Joseph tell us this match is a six-man tag match. We don't know the third partner. So by the time we get to the OC backstage, it's just a normal tag team match. I'm sure this is Vince McMahon all over. He's like, well, he probably went to the back. He's like, hey, Dow, what you got for the main event? It's just gonna be the OC and the Street Profits. We're gonna keep people waiting, baiting them in for the reveal of who this third person is to help the Street Profits win their first match. Just bad television. They also show us a post-draft Raw roster, and we get a look at some of the new Red Brand superstars who made an instant impact after being drafted. You want to know who's made an instant impact? Absolutely nobody, because this show is the same garbage we have seen week after week, month after month, year after year. Nobody makes an impact because Vince, unless your name is Roman Reigns on SmackDown or Seth Rollins on Raw, Vince McMahon just wants you in the middle of the water. Aleister Black is somewhere backstage. He's not wearing his suit, his shirt and tie anymore. He looks like he's ready to go. He likes to think there's a method and a reason to his madness. He says, I like to think that one day all of this will give me an answer to why. He says this other side of him provides a rage that is like hellfire. The rage is beyond redemption, but at the same time, it's clawing at him like a madman, dancing in the moonlight, but he is ready to pick a fight. We go to commercial, we come back, and it's Aleister Black. Who is Aleister Black going to pick a fight with? Is it Cesaro? Is it Kevin Owens? Is it AJ Styles, who isn't in any match tonight? Aleister Black, who has been on the main roster since January and was in a tag team with Ricochet for the first 3 months of the year, is facing Jason Reynolds. Who's Jason Reynolds, you may ask? He is a local indie talent that I don't have a fucking clue who he is. He has been on the main roster for almost an entire fucking year, and you're treating him as a guy who can't go one-on-one with like a Seth Rollins or hell, Humberto Carrillo makes his Raw debut and goes one-on-one with the Universal Champion. We'll get to that later, why it was a failure of a match. But he went one-on-one with the Universal Champion in his first night on Raw. Aleister Black is facing Jason Reynolds, a jobber. Why? Why is he facing jobbers and enhancement talent? Could we not get Aleister Black versus an Andrade? That would be an excellent rematch from NXT. Could we not get him versus Humberto Carrillo? I think that would have been a great match. Him versus Cedric Alexander. Him versus Shelton Benjamin. It just pisses me off that we do this with Aleister Black. Why is this guy not facing top-tier talent? Why do you have him continue to go out there and just fight guys he shouldn't be fighting anymore? Like, I can understand when you first have someone come up to the main roster, you want them to get themselves acclimated, you want people to get acclimated to them, so you have them face jobbers. Yeah, you do that in like the first month and a half, maybe first 3, 4, 5 weeks of the year, of the debut. Why is it now that he's still facing jobbers? This match was academic, as you know. Aleister Black wins with the Black Mass. Does not bring out his submission, which I don't remember what they called it, but he wins by Black Mass. Backstage, we see Rusev walking in jeans and a t-shirt, and he looks so slim. Like, wow. It's like, when he's out there wrestling, it doesn't look like that much, but like, just seeing him in casual clothes, Rusev looks thin as can be. Like, he lost weight the unnatural way. We get a vignette of the Authors of Pain. There's no tag team on Raw hard enough for the face down, they say. They believe Raw signed them to keep them going to SmackDown. they were an acquisition for Raw. They were removed from SmackDown. They go on and talk about getting violent on Raw soon, and the next chapter in the history of the tag team wrestling will be on Raw, and it will be written by the authors of Pain in their normal language with subtitles. Can we get, like, I was hoping, like, we had the Viking Raiders on this show. The best way to get an impact for the AOP is the Viking Raiders in a tag team match against whoever. And the match gets thrown out because the AOP comes out and just wreaks havoc on everybody. They beat the hell out of Hanson, they beat the hell out of Rowe, they beat the hell out of like Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, whoever the tag team is. They just waste everybody. Stand tall, and that is that. That would be a hell of a way to get these guys to be debuted. But they're still just sitting there, nice, like cheap suits, just sitting there talking in their language, whatever. I think it's Vietnamese or something, and not really doing anything else. Get these guys in the ring. Jerry Lawler is in the ring for a return of his Kane's Court segment, because WWE can't go without a talking segment. Roddy Piper dies about 5 years ago or so, and you still continue to do talking segments. The two best talking segments in WWE history, of course, were Piper's Pit at number 1 and talk in the highlight reel number 2. Everything else is just a poor comparison. He brings out Rusev. Lawler says this is hard to talk about because he believes what happens in a marriage should stay there. This is just ironic because Jerry Lawler is like the last guy you should be asking for marital advice. This dude doesn't like the marriage thing does not do well with Jerry the King Lawler. He's like had 4 or 5 wives by now. But listen, you are a public figure, Lana's a public figure, and Bobby Lashley is a public figure. But Lashley and Lana have decided to put everything out there in the public. He gets the what treatment from fans. Rusev tells them, hey, come on, he's a Hall of Famer, stop it. Lawler asks Rusev what he thinks. Rusev says this is all Lashley's fault. He says Bob Lashley. He doesn't say Bobby, he says Bob Lashley. He's poisoned Lana's brain, and for that he will be crushed. As far as Lana is concerned, Rusev says he may be a fool, but he still wears his wedding band because every day he hopes they can move past this and live happily ever after. Yes, Rusev, you're an absolute fool. Is anybody buying any of this shit? I mean, come on. Is anybody literally buying any of this shit from Rusev and Lashley and Lana? I'm not. This is not the 1990s, the late 90s, the early 2000s, or even the mid 2000s. I don't buy this shit for a minute. Lana and Lashley appear on the big screen. They have words. They embarrass him even more. They say "I love you" to each other in the most the most phoniest way possible. I hate saying the F word when it comes to professional wrestling, but it just comes off as some of the phoniest shit in the world. This is all a Paul Heyman idea. This is all a Paul Heyman thing. He has friends who have marital problems and have had marital problems. I don't care. Keep it off of my fucking television. Zelina Vega is backstage talking to Andrade, back to commercial, and then we have another rematch that we had. Here's the thing. We had Ricochet versus Drew McIntyre, which meant nothing other than to advertise Saudi Arabia, which I don't care about. Then we had Andrade versus Sin Cara. Now, this was a good match. Was it the best match we've ever seen? No. Was it better than the match last time we saw him, which was, of course, last year when Sin Cara wasn't injured? I would probably say no, because they, just like Rey Mysterio versus Andrade earlier this year, when they had their first match, it was like lightning in a bottle. It was fucking awesome. It was fresh, and I hadn't seen it before. And then WWE tries to recreate it 20 million times. My biggest gripe with Andrade right now is this. Andrade, when him and Zelina Vega became a partnership, and he was her manager in NXT, and he was her client. She was his manager, and he was her client in NXT. Andrade, 99.9% of the time, won matches on his own. He would go in there, kick ass, take names, and beat everybody, and not need Zelina Vega's help unless it was warranted. He has not won a match in or fucking ever without the help of Zelina Vega. Now, early on in the match, when she grabs Sin Cara's leg and holds him as Andrade hits him with the fucking knee, that didn't come close to ending the match, so I was fine with that. It was like, if that's the only spot they do tonight, then it's fine. But of course not. Of course they didn't do that. That wasn't the only spot. She did a cartwheel off of the apron into a Hurricane Rana onto Sin Cara, laying him out. Andrade brings him in the ring, hammerlock DDT, and a 1-2-3. Sin Cara needs help to beat Sin Cara. Andrade needs help to beat Sin Cara, who has been an irrelevant figure since they broke up the Lucha Dragons. Are you kidding me? Heels can't win on their own in WWE, especially main roster. The only heel in NXT that really isn't winning on his own is Roderick Strong. And I think that's leading to him being eventually excommunicated from the Undisputed Era. Because it just feels like he's being played off as the weak link because the other three guys in their matches can win them without help from the Undisputed Era. But Roderick Strong has won most of his matches in the last few months with help from the other guys. But there's a reason for that. There is no reason that Sin Cara should be too much trouble for Andrade to win this match on his own. There is absolutely no reason that he needed Zelina Vega's help. There is absolutely no reason that he should have not been able to go in there, hit the meteor, the double knees in the corner, hit the hammerlock DDT 1-2-3. Why are you making Why are you making Andrade look weaker than he should be? This guy should be the future of this company as a heel, and you are killing him by having him always have to have help. It's not a good thing for Andrade. Was the match good? Yes, until the end. Does it mean anything? Andrade won. Does that mean he's going to be building him up credibility to win, to be number one contender eventually for a title? No. Then what's the fucking point? This is again why AEW wins always matter with the records that they're doing. When you have Kenny Omega at one time, who was 1-3 in his AEW career, he's nowhere close to being a title contender. He needs to work his way up, win a match here, win a match there, and put on a nice big streak to get a championship opportunity. Just having Andrade go out there and beat Sin Cara, who we've seen him beat before, and not do anything, and not really do anything special, it makes no sense. Also during this match, we had Humberto Carrillo, who was seen watching backstage. For what reason, didn't know at the time. After the match, we come back, the referee's checking on Sin Cara. We see Humberto Carrillo watching backstage, and Charlie Caruso joins him and welcomes him to Raw. He asks his reaction to what he saw in Andrade versus Sin Cara. He says he has respect for Sin Cara, but when you face Andrade, you have to face him and Zelina at the same time, and they are awesome. He says Andrade could be a WWE Universal Champion, but not if he beats Andrade to it first. He says he knows he has a lot to prove, and also says something about being able to win the Universal title, but not burning things down like current Universal Champion Seth Rollins has. And he walks away. He says thanks and walks away. Street Profits are backstage doing their normal hype thing. I hope this is the last time this is going to happen. For the quote-unquote six-man tag match, they tease their mystery partner and won't reveal him, but he's not a fan of AJ Styles either. More 24/7 chicanery, don't give a crap, and we are out of here for the next thing. We go to the ring and out come the tag team champions, the Viking Raiders. We see they won the titles from Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode last week. They send us, Dick sends us to a video package of breast cancer awareness campaign with Eugene Coleman, and then a break. After the break, Charlie Caruso is backstage with Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. They're looking forward to the night's opportunity, and they want to be winning the current World Cup tournament turmoil because they need to. They're being called underdogs, rightfully so. They're gonna have a huge upset, they say, and they're gonna get some huge wins, and they're gonna go into this turmoil and win and be a huge surprise. Let's tell you how that goes. Jobber match for sure. Hawkins and Ryder, who were your tag team champions coming out of WrestleMania, by the way. the tag team champions coming out of WrestleMania, does not even last 3 minutes with the Viking Raiders. Thor's hammer, 1, 2, 3 on Hawkins, and that was that. Nothing else I can say there. We see Bobby Lashley and Lana at the restaurant. Of course, Rusev earlier says he knows exactly where they were, so he was leaving to come kick their ass. And the manager comes in, asks them to leave, and says he will pay for the tab, but he heard Lana's husband is on his way, and he doesn't want any trouble. Lashley says Rusev doesn't have the balls to do anything, which Lana already knew. They laugh, and the manager leaves. Whoop-de-doo. Again, is anybody buying this stuff when it comes to Lana, Rusev, and Bobby Lashley? I know the hell I'm not. I am not buying this stuff for a goddamn second. We see Rusev shows up at the restaurant. After we go to commercial break, we come back. Bobby Lashley confronts Lashley and attacks as Lana screams and as others do in the restaurant. Guys, of course, this is on stage, so they have the fake police come in to separate them. Officers take Rusev away as Lana yells at him, ordering the officer to take her husband to jail, telling him to have fun in jail. Lashley stands with Lana amid the chaos in the restaurant. The sooner this storyline ends, the better. Now, with this storyline, the obvious outcome for the storyline is for Rusev to kick Bobby Lashley's ass, get his woman back, and that is that. WWE's logic of this booking is going to be is that Bobby Lashley will probably beat Rusev, humiliate him, and send him packing for all time. Rusev, I hope that you're listening. I hope you can listen to this because let your contract run out. Impact's doing well. New Japan just opened a subsidiary in the United States, and there's always a chance that maybe AEW, Ring of Honor is still looking for people to boost themselves. You would do so much better somewhere else other than WWE, and they would not treat you like this. This is garbage, absolute garbage. This is just WWE trying to do what they have, like the lightning in the bottle, and something got thrown on their lap with Lita, Edge, and Matt Hardy back in 2005. They have been trying to recreate that with bullshit storylines for years. This is the latest attempt, and it's fucking garbage. Rey Mysterio is in the ring with a sling. He says he gives a shout out to Cleveland and says he's training Cain Velasquez to get him ready for the WWE title for Brock Lesnar at Crown Jewel. Really, Rey? How you doing that with your arm in a sling? First, he wants to thank everyone for the support for his son and his son, for the outpouring of love and support and his family has experienced. Even before Lesnar attacked him and his son, a "You Deserve It" chant comes out. Rey says this love goes back to when he was thinking of retiring. He has so much to be thankful for, and he's honored for the love fans have shown to him, he and his family. This is why he's here tonight to say it's straight from his family. The fans are his family. Which is why we are all going to celebrate together at Crown Jewel when Kane wins the WWE Championship from that bastard Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman interrupts this promo, which thank God, because I am so sick of hearing the more of the same from Rey Mysterio. Enough of it. He appears on the big screen and wonders if Rey would be saying these same words if his client was live in Cleveland. Of course he wouldn't. Heyman says Rey knows Lesnar can't be on Raw tonight because he was drafted to SmackDown. Heyman says he can't be drafted anywhere, which is why he's here tonight to deliver this message to Rey on behalf of Brock Lesnar. Lesnar will dominate at Crown Jewel and take care of both them, but Rey cuts him off, has strong words for him. Rey continues to speak in Spanish. I don't have a fucking clue what he's saying. Out comes Shelton Benjamin. He knocks Rey and Kane and isn't sure why Kane gets a WWE title shot. That's a good question. What has Cain Velasquez done to get a WWE champion shot at Crown Jewel? Nothing. He came to SmackDown with me on Fox. He attacked Brock Lesnar. So, yeah, nothing. This is about family, but Shelton says Lesnar is his family. And this, I do like that they did this, is because, yes, at the University of Minnesota, Shelton Benjamin trained Lesnar. No one in WWE knows Lesnar better than him. If it wasn't for Shelton Benjamin, there would be no Brock Lesnar in WWE in the early days. There might be a Brock Lesnar in WWE nowadays. It probably would have been one of those things that happens. But I don't, because Shelton Benjamin, the only reason Brock Lesnar even signed with WWE is because he had it like written out or like said, I'll come if you find a spot for my training partner, Shelton Benjamin. Ray says Shelton has this all mixed up. Shelton disagrees and says he wants to see what happens if he shoves Ray around. He starts slightly pushing Ray, says maybe he will get shoving Ray will get a title shot. He keeps shoving Ray, talking trash. He shoves him once, says that's a U.S. title shot. Shoves him again, that's an Intercontinental title shot. He slaps him. He's slapping him. Ray can't fight back, but seems surprised by his former friend Shelton. Shelton asks, "Where's Ray's buddy? Where's Ray's buddy now? What is Ray going to do?" And out comes Cain Velasquez, who apparently is a free agent as well. And even if he was signed to Raw, maybe he drafted Raw, I'm pretty sure Fox would let this one slide. Him coming over to SmackDown because it's Cain fucking Velasquez. Cain enters the ring and stares Shelton down. Shelton tries to take it for a takedown, but is blocked. Cain shakes his head at Shelton. Cain slams Shelton, goes to work on him on the mat. Cain applies a sleeper on Shelton, taps after resisting, ending up on the floor as Cain and Ray stare up at him. Cain is all business and fans are standing watching what is happening. Shelton clutches his throat while down on the floor. Shelton gets up and limps to the back as Ray is saying, "Come on, Shelton, get back in the ring. Come back in the ring. Come on, Shelton." Was liking the segment, and then Cain Velasquez came out and absolutely wrecked Shelton Benjamin. I do like the fact that they brought up the history between Shelton Benjamin and Brock Lesnar, the fact that Brock Lesnar is really associated with WWE in the first place because of Shelton Benjamin. Charlie Caruso is backstage and she introduces Seth Rollins. She says it seems like the Fiend has gotten inside his head. Rollins says maybe he has, but maybe Rollins has gotten into the Fiend's head. Rollins says the Fiend is different. There's an aura he can't quite explain. He's a little off, and when you step into the ring with him, it changes you forever. Rollins stares off to the side and tells Charlie to hold on a second. He walks over to Humberto Carrillo, talking to a WWE staffer. He's definitely dressed to fight. Rollins says he heard what Humberto said earlier, and he did burn Firehouse down, but he did what he had to do. Before we go any further, I didn't mention this last week. I didn't mention this at all, but it did come to my mind, and it was like, Seth Rollins showing up in the Firefly Funhouse absolutely killed the aura of the Firefly Funhouse. The Firefly Funhouse, to me and to others, and was supposed to be projected as it was pretty much a figment. It wasn't real. It was a figment of Bray's imagination, of Bray's like the demons inside of his head. It was a safe place. It was inside it wasn't supposed to be like a real actual place. It was, but having Seth Rollins come there and attack and rick everything up and burn it down, literally, just makes it like, well, this was an actual place, and it kills the entire aura of the fucking Firefly Funhouse. You do what is right if you want to be champion, not make the popular decisions. You're damn right, because your babyface comes to the Firefly Funhouse, killing the aura of that, burns it to the ground, and gets booed for it completely. Rollins says he would burn it in the Funhouse down again if he had to. He heard Carrillo wanted to be champion one day, so welcome to Raw. And he says, how about you have your first match on Raw against the champion tonight? Right now. And he walks off, Carrillo smiles, and we go to commercial break. Back from break, and we see members of the NFL Cleveland Browns at ringside. Who gives a shit? They fucking suck. They announced to show us highlights from last week's Riyadh season open parade last week, which featured a WWE props, floats, and more to hype Crown Jewel. Seth Rollins versus Humberto Carrillo. This was a good match. This was supposed to be a star-making match for Humberto Carrillo. I'm going to tell you the difference between this match and Private Party versus the Young Bucks. The biggest difference between this match, because both matches were supposed to be star-making performances. The Young Bucks made stars out of Private Party. Humberto Carrillo is not a star after this match. Why? The Young Bucks are over. The Young Bucks are one of the most over acts in all of professional wrestling. Seth Rollins is not over. The entirety of this match, I hear, we want Wyatt. If you're an over champion, if you're an over superstar, and you're trying to put somebody over in an over-making match, which you don't, just like Darby Allin versus Chris Jericho, which was to help build the stock of Darby Allin. You don't have to win a match to get over. You go out there, you put on one hell of a goddamn performance, and you're going to get over. That didn't happen here. Humberto Carrillo went out there and did everything he could. He sold for Seth Rollins. He fought Seth Rollins. He did everything he could, and the crowd didn't give a shit because he was in the ring with Seth Rollins. Way to go, WWE. A year and a half ago, Seth Rollins was the hardest fucking act in WWE next to Braun Strowman. And in fucking 4 months, you killed both Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman in back-to-back feuds. You killed Braun Strowman, turning him heel, and then you killed Seth Rollins in all of his momentum, facing Dean Ambrose and doing the whole Dean Ambrose heel turn. All of that within 6 months of them being the hardest acts in WWE, hardest acts on Monday Night Raw in WWE in general. Fast forward to now, Seth Rollins is loathed. Seth Rollins is getting more boos. People trying to defend this shit is like, oh well, this crowd was dead. People like Seth Rollins is getting cheered everywhere else in the world. It's like, yeah, a little bit, because that's people out there who are Seth Rollins cocksuckers. Seth Rollins, if this title run came after, if he would have been the one to beat Brock Lesnar last year at WrestleMania 34, if he would have beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 34 and won the Universal Championship in the match they had at WrestleMania, or even the match they had at SummerSlam at WrestleMania last year, and he was as hard as he was last year, Seth Rollins would be a fucking fantastic babyface. But no, he had a great Intercontinental title run last year until we got to Extreme Rules. Then they brought Dean Ambrose back, killing that surprise, and then had Dean Ambrose turn on him when Roman Reigns went out with leukemia, to terrible storylines, terrible booking, and then his feuds with Brock Lesnar were absolutely atrocious. Both of Seth Rollins' title runs have been absolutely terrible. Now, it makes sense to have him, but if you want to establish Humberto Carrillo as a star, as somebody you want to have a star, and then there was somebody I saw tonight say that Humberto Carrillo it was made into a star tonight, and then one tweet later, when somebody said no, somebody replied to that. They replied, "Oh, Humberto Carrillo is a star in the making." I'm like, he's either he was made a star tonight, or he's a star in the making. He can't be both. This was a good match. Humberto Carrillo did everything he could to make this match what it was. Seth Rollins, who's supposed to be this white hot babyface, the babyface of this company, of this brand, and the crowd was chanting, "We want Wyatt. We want." They weren't chanting, "We want the Fiend." They were chanting, "We want Wyatt." Flag 1, that you were not over. 2, for a majority of the fans in the WWE Universe do not want you as champion and want the Fiend to be Universal Champion. You are not over. 3, after this match was over, Humberto Carrillo, of course, lost this match because he was not going to win. It would have made no sense for him to win. Seth Rollins comes back into the ring. Fans are booing this. Before he even does anything, he goes over, extends his hand, they shake, and fans are booing. You are not over. So everything that they did for this match was a failure. Just trying to get Humberto Carrillo over against a Seth Rollins was a good idea on paper. Failure in execution, because Seth Rollins is he's Roman Reigns from 2015 to October of 2018. But Roman Reigns started getting pushed to the moon until he went out with leukemia. He was the most vile, hated person in all of WWE. Somehow, between him leaving in October and coming back in February, WWE figured out how to book him in a better way than they had before. But whatever they were doing to book Roman Reigns poorly, they took from Roman and put it on Seth Rollins. And now Seth Rollins comes off as a pussy. He comes off as a piece of shit. He comes off as just a condescending prick that nobody fucking cares about, and we don't want to see him as Universal Champion anymore. People are begging for a heel turn. Here's the problem with that. It is well documented that Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch are engaged to be married or are married. Becky Lynch is the most over woman on the roster. They are not going to turn Seth Rollins heel while his wife or fiance or wife is on the same brand. It's not going to happen. We're stuck with Seth Rollins babyface for the foreseeable future, and we're just going to have to deal with it. Seth Rollins, of course, wins with the stomp. That is that. Back to break, and we see the more 24/7 shenanigans, and then we come to the Street Profits versus the OC. WWE with the good old bait and switch. The good old bait and switch. What does that mean? Oh, well, gee, I don't know. You advertised a 6-man tag match. You advertised a 6-man tag match over the weekend. You had Vic Joseph say this was a 6-man tag match. We get to the main event. Oh, the Street Profits are out first, which was red flag number 1. You have the OC come out next, and AJ Styles is like, oh, who's this third man? Is he, and just cracking these, like, oh, is he invisible? Is he imaginary? And just killing, and, like, just, like, also telling you that, yeah, this is a tag team match. So we get into this match. It's an okay match. Dawkins and, this was an okay match. Owens, like, the referee, okay, so Dallas has a referee distracted. AJ pushes forward right into the spine buster. When he was on top of the ring, he throws him out and he gets caught into a spine buster. Ford kicks out at 2. AJ, the OC has the referee distracted again for a second. He has Ford in. Looked like he was going to go for a reverse DDT. Referee catches him this time, ejects him. He's on the apron arguing, and out comes Kevin Owens. Yes. We're going back to Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles. A feud that started when AJ Styles as a babyface 2 years ago. Gee, you know what Kevin Owens' entire 2019 is going to be known as? Rehashing 2017. Let's see. He spent 3 months or so feuding with Shane McMahon. And now he's going back to feud with AJ Styles. That feud went way too long, and that feud went absolutely nowhere. The only difference is AJ was a babyface last time, and Kevin Owens was a heel. Let's flip it around. AJ Styles is now a heel, and Kevin Owens is a babyface. And Kevin Owens as well is slimmed down too, because he was just charging down that ring, ducked the clothesline, hit the stunner, walked away. This led Dawkins to hit a spinebuster, tag into Ford. Ford hits the frog splash. 1, 2, 3. They stand tall. Everyone stands tall on the stage and salutes back at the ring as the Street Profits celebrate in the ring. The music plays. We go to replays. The Street Profits celebrate with the fans at ringside and hits the crowd. They celebrate with others in the crowd, and Ross goes off the air as Ford and Dawkins are actually celebrating with a fan, and Ford has it had to be somebody they knew, because he grabs the baby and just starts, playing with him. So it had to be like a family member or somebody. But that was Monday Night Raw. So we rehash AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens again. We rehash Ricochet versus Drew McIntyre. We rehash Sin Cara versus Andrade, in which Andrade now needs help to beat everybody, including Sin Cara. Humberto Carrillo versus Seth Rollins was supposed to be a star-making performance. And here's the thing. Go watch Humberto Carrillo versus Seth Rollins, and then watch the Street Profits versus the OC. Listen to that crowd reaction. Yes, when Seth Rollins pins Humberto Carrillo and hits the stomp 1, 2, 3, the crowd doesn't give a shit. When the Street Profits hit the spine buster, the frog splash, and 1, 2, 3, the crowd is going ballistic. The Street Profits are over. The OC and Kevin Owens and AJ Styles got the Street Profits over. Humberto Carrillo, I feel bad for the dude. He did everything he could. Is not over, and it's not his fault. You put him in there with a badly damaged Seth Rollins, who desperately needs to be a heel, but they're not going to turn him heel because his girlfriend, fiance, wife, whatever, is a babyface. The biggest babyface in the company. Speaking of the women, there was absolutely zero, zilch, nada, none on this show. And honestly, because we know what's going to happen with Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, that's where we're going. That's where we're going to be going from here until the end of time, or until we do another superstar shakeup, another draft, or whatever the hell we do next year. If they do anything next year, we're going to see Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch again and again and again and again. And it wouldn't surprise me if Becky Lynch loses the championship to Charlotte at Survivor Series if they're not doing champion versus champion, or TLC, only lose it back to Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble or the next night on Raw, so Charlotte can go into the Royal Rumble and finally win the Royal Rumble. If it wasn't for Becky Lynch getting as hot as she did late last year, she was not winning the Royal Rumble, and she wouldn't have been in that match against Ronda Rousey. So Charlotte Flair's Royal Rumble win has been held off for another year. She couldn't be in the first one because she was WWE's Raw Women's Champion at the time, or SmackDown Women's. She was SmackDown Women's Champion. Yeah, SmackDown Women's Champion at the time. She's not now, but it wouldn't surprise me if she wins the title at TLC, or wins one more title before the end of this year, so she can be an 11-time champion. And then we get to, probably the next night on Raw, or somewhere down the line, before we get to the Royal Rumble, she loses the championship, and then she's in the Rumble to finally win it. But yeah, no women tonight, which is fine. We don't always have to see Becky Lynch every single week. It felt refreshing to not have to hear the same old promo from Becky. I like Becky as a performer. I think she's one of the best that they have. But my God, they have her set out there and cut the same exact fucking promo every single week. So being away from that for a week, I'm fine with it. If they don't have her on next week, I ain't mad either. If she's not on there the week after that, I'm a little something. But the reason I don't think Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, or any women were on the show is because they were more promoting for Crown Jewel than anything. And Crown Jewel can't have the women go, so I actually don't expect to see Becky and Charlotte till after Crown Jewel, the week after Crown Jewel. Just Monday Night Raw. This was rerun episode whatever. This show was not good. Again, I feel bad for Humberto Carrillo. That should have been we should be talking about that match for the next week, month, year or something, as being that's where he broke out as a made superstar. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen because Seth Rollins is not over to the point where they could take the rub from him and give it to Humberto Carrillo. Again, go watch Private Party versus the Young Bucks from AEW 2 weeks ago. The Private Party was made into stars on that night. Seth Rollins could not get Humberto Carrillo over because he's not over to where they need him to be, where he should be. And that's up to him. That's a couple of reasons. One, because of his antics on Twitter is not helping him whatsoever. He needs to have his Twitter taken away from him. Two, very, very bad booking. And three, trying to defend this shit this bad booking. Seth Rollins, and it's usually WWE being the one behind the bad booking and the reason that a superstar doesn't get over. This one is on Seth and WWE. And nobody can argue that. But hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video, find me on Twitter at The France, find me on The France Club, find me on twitch.tv/The France Club, go over to my YouTube channel, The France Plays, as I just uploaded a strike for Destiny 2, as I'm jumping into Destiny 2 on New Light. I didn't want to buy the game when it first came out, so I decided I'm going to wait for it to go free to play. When they said that, I was like, cool, I'll check it out. Got to do the Lake of Shadows strike. It is now up on that channel. Go check it out, as well as all the other content I put on that channel. I have a full playthrough of Call of Duty World War II, a couple hunts in Dauntless. So go check it out. Hit that subscribe button over there. There will be more content coming tomorrow and in the future. Until then, my name is The France, and I'll see you guys later.